On this episode, we talk about how to get patients to leave online reviews, marketing to everybody, and do before and after pictures really create interest. Hey everybody, what's up and welcome to the 88 Dental Marketing Show. I'm glad you're here. My name is Joshua Scott. I'm your host, and this is where we answer dentistry's most important questions. So we are in and rolling on episode number 11. That comes out this week. Next week, I gotta tell you, I'm gonna give you a heads up. I've got some knee surgery later in the week, a torn meniscus that just got to go get fixed. I've been putting it off, and so now's the time. So that's happening late this week. I have every intention of shooting a show next week, but who knows? Who knows how that's going to go? And we're going to wait and see how mobile I am. If nothing else, maybe we'll just put the leg up here and get that thing elevated, get a few pain meds going, and we'll answer some questions. So, which would be fun, which would be interesting. So that's next week. Just wanted to give you a heads up. For now, episode 11. Let's get to some questions.
Our first question is from Olivia Hudson. We're having trouble generating reviews. What's the best way to get patients to leave them?
Good question, Olivia. Running a review campaign or getting patients to leave reviews online, it can be a little bit tricky and difficult. And some of the excuses I hear back or the troubling things like, well, they don't have an account, they don't have a Google account, or our patient base demographic is too old, they don't go online to leave reviews. And all that's valid, but at the same point, I think there's on the same side that there's some things you can do to help them do that. And so I usually what we advise is implementing a review campaign. So I would run a campaign for about 3 months. Do it in the spring or do it in the summer coming up. So give your patients 3 months, ask them to go online and leave reviews. And so a few things: do a printed handout, something that you give them, because part of it with reviews is patients have to go home and remember to leave the review, right? So what you're doing is putting something in their hands to say, hey, go leave a review, like go remember this when you get home. So I think you've got to have something that you're handing out. And then the other key piece is you have to incentivize it. If you don't, you're not going to get the participation that you would want or expect. And now look, I know before the comments come in, like, does Google want you incentivizing for reviews? No. Does Yelp want you doing that? No. Do any of these places want you incentivizing for reviews? Absolutely not. It's all written in their language. You're not buying these. If you said, hey, for every patient that leaves a review, we'll give them a $25 gift card, that's different. You're buying them. But what I'm talking about is, over those 3 months, you set out a new Apple iPad or a large screen TV or a $250 or $500 Visa gift card. And everybody who leaves a review in that 3 month period of time, you enter them into a drawing. And at the end of that 3 months, you choose a patient who left a review and you give them that iPad or the gift card or the TV or whatever. And so it's having a fun giveaway, raffle, which lots of offices do. We're just making the center of it online reviews for that one. So I think that's the key. I think they got to remember, you got to incentivize it. And then I would, like on that print piece, I would make it Google, maybe Yelp, maybe Angie's List, and Health Grades. Like really center that down. I don't put Facebook on there, because if you put Facebook on, people will default to that. And for me, those reviews on Facebook don't do you any good on Google, on search. So do that review campaign. Try to push them to Google. I mean, we have some practices that only make it a Google campaign. Like it has to be a Google review. Honestly, if they leave a review, any of those places, I'm happy with it. And so that's how I would do it. I think, and then the other thing is you have to give it out to everybody. So that 3 month period of time, the other part of this I see fail is when I come back in, it's like, oh, we only got 4 reviews. Then typically what I find is the staff wasn't asking every single patient. So in that 3 month period of time, you have to ask everybody. Everybody gets a card, everybody gets asked. because it's a sheer numbers game. Like if you ask 1,000 people, you're gonna get 3% that leave reviews. So that's like 30 reviews. And so if you asked 1,000 people, no sweat, we got the 30 reviews. If you only asked 250 people and now we've got 4 reviews and you're like, I don't know why we didn't get as many, it's just numbers. So remind them, incentivize them, and ask everybody, and I think you'll be on your way to better results.
Question number 2 from Lucas Hernandez. How do you market to all ages covering all dental options?
So, the question is, how do you market everything to everybody? And, the answer is, I don't think you can. I don't think you can. I think you have to define a target. You have to define an audience. In an effort to become all-inclusive, you're eventually going to become exclusive, and that's going to hurt.
Our third question from Dr. Robert McDaniel. Do before and after pictures create interest?
Dr. Robert, good question. I know what you're talking about. It's like the typical kind of before and after clinical pictures, or like, we call them smile galleries online, or, something like that. I think there's value there. I think it gets so much more attention if you do it different. Look, we see these clinical befores and these clinical after pictures. I'm fine with the clinical before because I think a lot of patients see that and they go, wow, that person's teeth were messed up. Or, they can identify the problem and see it in that picture. The after picture, I think what we're selling there is not the clinical result. I think what we're selling there is the emotional result. And so what I want to see is not the full mouth kind of clinical after, but what I want to see is more of a portrait shot, more of a headshot, the patient smiling and laughing and head thrown back and maybe hair blowing. I mean, more of a lifestyle type picture of just gauging that emotional impact that treatment had. Because I think that's what patients want to see, is they go, oh yeah, those teeth are messed up, and wow, look at this person afterwards. She's beautiful. She looks amazing. That smile is awesome. And so for me, it becomes what we're selling. It's less about the clinical procedure and more about the after effect of confidence and beauty and smile and those types of things. And so, it takes a little bit more work for sure, but honestly, it becomes easy to set up. I mean, work with a local photographer, find one and just tell them like, hey, I'm going to send you 6 or 8 patients this year to get some headshots done on. And so when you have a patient comes through where you've done a big case or it's just treatment that you're proud of, you think they'd be a good candidate for this, build the cost of the shoot into the treatment or write it off as a marketing expense. But send them over there, get some headshots, and now you have a lot of great material to work with. Your online gallery now is this amazing after shot with the clinical inset in there, maybe a little description about the treatment, maybe a testimonial from the patient. That creates a way more compelling smile gallery than just your standard before and after, before and after, before and after. And so those photos also, you can use them for marketing. I mean, Facebook ads, magazines, newspapers, on your website. There's so much more you can do with them. It's an amazing investment. And so that's the route I would go. I think if you followed some of those steps, you would generate massive interest in those photos.
And our fourth question from Jay Moretti. Hillary announced her candidacy for president. Who are your picks for the front runners?
Jay, you're going to get me in trouble for sure. Because typically, like on a show like this, on a format like this, I'm not going to talk about politics because it's so polarizing. But I don't have any front runners, so to speak, for the presidential race. My concern, I don't have any front runners, but I have some fears. That's a good way to say it. I'm scared that come November, the presidential ballot is going to be Hillary Clinton and Jeb Bush. And man, I get concerned, and that scares me because it's like, when did these family dynasties start controlling the presidential office? When did these family dynasties start getting elected into office like so much? And I start to get uncomfortable with that and have a problem with it. And I don't think I'm the only one. I think that that's a real concern right now in politics is re-electing these same families into office again and again and again. And so that concerns me. I'm scared that's the position we're going to be in November. That being said, I think Hillary Clinton's going to be the Democratic candidate. I think the timing for the first possible woman president is there. I think she's the one that could do it. So I think that's going to happen. I think on the Republican side, I think Republicans can't keep doing the same old thing over and over again. They're literally losing an entire generation right now. And they have to put a fresh face up there. I'm literally convinced one of the main reasons Obama won was because he was the first president that connected with Gen X and the millennials. And the Republicans have yet to do that. And so I think this like whole game of it's like the same old faces and names we keep hearing, and it's a definitely a direct attempt to connect with a baby boomer audience. I think at some point we've got to have a fresh face. We got to have a fresh approach. And until they do that, I really don't know if they're going to win an election. So that's my take without telling you how I feel either way or tip my hat as to where I'm voting or my politics. That's just some observations I see on the whole thing and where it's going. So appreciate the question, Jay. That's episode number 11. Again, thanks so much for being here. Your homework. What are you doing to drive patient reviews? And do you need to put a review campaign in place this summer? Guys, thanks so much for being here. I will see you on episode number 12.